So this special workshop is built around understanding the role of processed and ultra-processed ingredients in school food. It's a really hot topic and something of a minefield. So we're really delighted to have our very own senior specialist in nutrition and health, Annalena Klapp, who will give you some clarity on that subject. And as you're all joining and getting settled and comfortable, just a quick reminder to you, this will be recorded, so you can come back later and enjoy it on our YouTube channel. And do share the link with everybody so they can check it out later. Also, please do, as ever, add your comments and thoughts in the chat at the side. We love to hear from you. And I know our other ProVeg team members are here and happy to comment and join in. So please do engage. We love to talk to you. So ProVeg is a non-profit food awareness organization with offices in 12 countries. And our mission is to replace 50% of animal products globally with plant-based and cultivated foods by 2040. We are keen here in the UK to make school food both healthier and more sustainable, to save money and be more inclusive. Those are kind of happy byproducts of our action. And we incentivize action through our awards. So we nudge positive behaviors for children, and we encourage meat reduction and plant-based promotion. So do enter our awards and see if you might be able to win one for your own menu. And if you're not quite there, we will help you with that until you reach your award. And we keep on helping you through that process. We've now worked with a quarter of local authorities in the UK, many schools and local authorities and caterers, turning their meals into the best possible version of themselves, both for the planet and for health and for economy, and also for the environment. So you can see a typical spaghetti bolognese compared with a plant-based version of the same spaghetti bolognese. And at the bottom of our screen here, as you're sure most of you are familiar with this now, it's 27% cheaper, 87% lower in saturated fat, more than double the fiber, and less than a third of the carbon emissions. So these are the kind of swaps that we're encouraging in schools. And as you know, we support you with workshops, recipes, consultation, and we don't charge for our time. So do send us your menu, because you can join other caterers who are providing meals that over 1 million children are enjoying. We're working with over 6,500 schools, and we've swapped millions of meals to be more planet friendly and healthier. So as ever, we're really excited to share our recipes today. We've got campfire sausage and bean stew with cornbread, and crunchy tofu dippers with homemade ketchup, and also creamy lemon posset with shortbread and berries. As we were saying at the beginning, it's a particularly special workshop, and we're delighted to share our colleague Annalena's expert knowledge with you. So just want to invite you all, before she begins, to answer this next poll question. And the question is coming up very shortly on your screens. Which do you think, and you'll have to listen while we get this organized, there we go, are the top three most highly processed and best to avoid or reduce items in children's diets? So you can choose 3 here that you think we should be reducing. What do you think? These are all processed. So we have got some answers in. And so far, yes, everybody's going for the pork sausages, ham slices. There are a few corn dippers and sandwich bread in there, as well as fish fingers. But overall, ham slices seem to be top of the list for people's opinion. Pork sausages and ham slices, you believe, are the most highly processed and best to avoid or reduce in children's diets. Thank you for your answers on that. So we'll continue now. I'm delighted to introduce Anna-Lena, our Senior Specialist in Nutrition and Health at ProVeg, who'll tell you more about it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Alex, for the nice introduction. And hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm live from Berlin today here. And well, let's start talk a bit about processed foods. As you may know, there is a lot of data and even more opinions about processed foods. And today I would like to help you to better understand the debate about processed foods and to make differentiated and informed choices. So I will start by explaining what processed foods are and talk about the impact they can have on our health. Following on this, I will tell you a bit more about plant-based alternatives versus animal-based products, and I will end with a conclusion. All right, let's start with a definition. So I know with the boring stuff, but it's important so we are all on the same page here. According to the USDA, processed food is defined as any raw agricultural commodity that has been subject to washing, cleaning, milling, cutting, chopping, heating, pasteurizing, blanching, cooking, and so on and so forth. This may include the addition of other ingredients to the food, such as preservatives, flavors, nutrients, and other food additives or substances approved for the use in food products, such as salt, sugar, and fats. So you can see it doesn't take that much to classify a food as processed food. And during the past 20 years, many different definitions have been proposed to categorize food and distinguish unprocessed from processed and ultra-processed food. And so far, 7 classification systems have been used, and here you can see the list. And I'm not going to read them all out now. The most important system that you should have heard of, because it is the most widely used in the world, is the NOVA classification system. If I have marked it here in orange. And what's also important for you to know is that none of these systems consider the nutritional value of the final product. So they simply try to determine whether food is unprocessed, processed, or ultra-processed, and that's all. And this is very, very important to understand. And I would like to give you an example to illustrate what this can mean for certain foods. So let's take whole grain bread. Depending on the classification system, which you can see here in the left column, bread, which is commonly seen as a healthy, natural staple food, falls mainly into the processed or even ultra-processed category, which are nowadays mostly perceived as negative. And some of these systems do not even distinguish between whole grain bread and refined white bread. And when using Nova, again, for example, it is relevant whether the bread has been freshly baked at the bakery or whether it is available in prepackaged in the supermarket. And it doesn't matter whether it's a whole grain bread or a refined white bread, which would indeed make a big difference from a nutritional point of view. And as you can imagine, from this point on, many problems with this categorization arise. And to make this even clearer, we have created this graphic here. And this graphic shows us very well where the problem is. So on the left side here, you can see processed foods. So these are foods that undergo a manufacturing process before being consumed and are high in salt, sugar, saturated fats, and other potentially disease-promoting substances. On the right side, you can see also processed foods, but these are foods that have undergone a manufacturing process before being consumed and are high in fiber, minerals, unsaturated fatty acids, probiotics, and other potentially health-promoting substances. So, and again, you will also find ultra-processed foods in both areas. But what about the number of ingredients, you may ask? So the number of ingredients can give us an idea of the degree of food processing. And according to Nova, the mere addition of sugar, salt, fat, or additives increases the processing level. However, it will also always include any spices or nutrients that have been added to the product and which can provide specific benefits, for example, iodized salt, or increase the shelf life. for example, ascorbic acid, also known as vitamin C. So again, it is not a good indicator to the health value of a food. And I would also like to show you an example for this. So bread versus lard. Everyone who does not know what lard is, it's a pure fat from the abdomen of a pig. And let's have a look at the ingredients list. So whole grain bread, it's whole grain wheat flour, water, sugar, wheat, gluten, plant oil, iodized salt, yeast, ascorbic acid, and soy lecithin. And lard, it's 100% animal fat. That's all. So if we focus only on the number of ingredients, lard can be considered more natural or clean and therefore as a healthy food. However, when looking at the nutritional value, it can be seen that whole grain bread contains high amounts of fiber, proteins, carbohydrates, while containing low amounts of fat. And lard, on the other hand, is pure fat, mostly containing saturated fat, which we should eat less of. So once again, we need to be a bit more nuanced in our assessment, not generalizing, and taking a closer look to the respective foods. And this brings us to the next topic, processed foods and health. I'm sure you have all seen these kind of news headlines that ultra-processed foods are super bad for our health, and that the consumption of ultra-processed foods is linked to the development of obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, and other chronic diseases. And I think it is very important to note that foods that have undergone a high level of processing and at the same time are high in saturated fat, salt, and sugar, as well as other potentially disease-promoting substances, should be kept to a minimum in people's diet. And this applies to products such as beef, salami, and sugar-sweetened beverages, for example. The fact that these ultra-processed foods contribute to the obesity epidemic and the rising prevalence of chronic diseases cannot be ignored. As such, it is also important that these foods are not put in the same category as whole grain bread or olive oil, just because all of these foods are processed or even ultra-processed. In general, the association between processed foods and health outcomes is a bit difficult to measure and often inconsistent. So research that tried to associate processed foods with health outcomes showed several biases. For example, again, they did not consider the nutritional value of the food, but only the level of processing. And we have to ask again, which foods are considered to be ultra-processed? Is it whole grain bread or is it potato chips? And this aspect can vary highly between the studies. And we also need to make clear that processing and the use of additives can have multiple benefits. For example, they delay and minimize the spoilage of food, which contributes to food safety and security. And in fact, we wouldn't be able to eat food such as meat, dairy products, legumes, and grains if we didn't first process them. So washing, cutting, crushing, roasting, boiling, cooking, etc. This can destroy or inhibit the growth of harmful bacteria that are still the cause of many deaths worldwide. However, when looking for healthy options, keep an eye on hidden sugar, as well as the amount of saturated fat and salt, especially when it is added during the processing. These are the ingredients that cause many health problems, not the processing itself. And last year, the researchers from the USDA have published a very interesting study showing that you can have a healthy diet and be in line with current dietary guidelines, even if your calories are 91% from ultra-processed foods. And they also used the NOVA classification system for this. And I really like this quote here, so I will read it. The study is a proof of concept that shows a more balanced view of a healthy eating patterns, where using ultra-processed foods can be an option. According to current dietary recommendations, the nutrient content of a food and its place in a food group are more important than the extent to which a food was processed. And the average primary school lunch menu also consists mainly of processed and ultra-processed foods, which does not automatically mean that this is unhealthy. It is much more important to integrate a lot of plant-based foods and use less salt, fat, and sugar. And instead, you can work, for example, with spices or herbs. And yeah. And we very often see baked beans with potatoes and vegetables on the school menu. So what about this? What about baked beans? The ProVeg UK team told me that many caterers are struggling in a bit and not sure whether baked beans are healthy or unhealthy because these are ultra-processed foods. Well, the good news is baked beans can be part of a healthy, sustainable diet. They are good sources of protein, vitamins, and minerals. And I took this quote here from the Eat Well Guide UK that says pulses such as beans, peas, and lentils are good alternatives to meat because they're low in fat and they're good sources of fiber and protein too. And they also have integrated here in their food graphic, you can see the can here. And this is also important because they say lower salt and sugar. So canned foods tend to have higher amounts of added salt and sugar. So if you're making baked beans using canned rather than dried beans, you can, for example, rinse and drain them to reduce the sodium by about 40%. And a few brands also offer reduced sodium varieties. Well, but what about plant-based alternatives? Are they good for our planet but bad for our health? So let's take a closer look on this. First of all, just like their animal-based counterparts, plant-based alternatives are often categorized as processed or ultra-processed foods. And numerous studies show that plant-based alternatives can have several health benefits and are often more ecologically sustainable than the animal-based counterparts. We need more data, but the current evidence shows that plant-based alternatives can be a win-win for the environmental impact and the nutritional quality. And as far as I know, corn is very often used in British school canteens, so the microprotein-based meat substitute. And again, we still need more studies on corn, but the evidence so far looks quite promising. So for example, this recently published study here found that participants who ate corn products over just a 2 weeks period saw a significant drop in bad LDL cholesterol and a fall in total cholesterol compared to those who ate a similar products made from red and processed meat. So replacing red and processed meat with plant-based alternatives can bring some health benefits. Let's also take a look at soya milk. Soya milk naturally contains a similar amount of protein to cow's milk, which is why nutrition experts state that calcium-fortified soya milk can be used as a nutritionally adequate alternative to cow's milk. And additionally, soya milk also has a very healthy fatty acid composition. It contains low levels of saturated fatty acids and high amounts of unsaturated fatty acids. Cow's milk, for example, contains mostly saturated fatty acids, which we should eat less of. So bringing a bit more diversity into our food choices can definitely have a lot of health benefits. However, according to Nova, the most frequently used categorization system worldwide, soya milk always counts as ultra-processed foods, no matter if it's with or without sugar. And again, this does not automatically make it an unhealthy food. And according to the Eat Well Guide, the official dietary guideline in the UK, unsweetened calcium-fortified dairy alternatives like soya milk, soy yogurt, and soy cheese also count as part of the dairy group because they can make good alternatives to dairy. And here again, they say to make healthier choices, go for lower fat and lower sugar options. And here you can see again the Eat Well Guide, so the official dietary guideline in the UK. And I'm sure most of you are familiar with the graphic. The Eat Well Guide is like a policy tool used to define the government recommendations on eating healthy and achieving a balanced diet. And it shows different types of foods and drinks we should consume and in what proportions. And as we have already seen in the previous slides, they also include foods such as canned beans here and soya milk here. However, at this point, I would just like to mention plant-based alternatives are not here to replace fruits and vegetables. They are here to replace animal-based products and diversify this category. So they diversify these categories, and a large part of our diet and the school menus as well should consist mainly of vegetables, fruits, and whole grain products. So please keep that in mind. And I'm now nearing the end of my presentation, and I'll briefly summarize the main issues. So the degree of processing alone cannot be used to make reliable statement about the health or value of a food. The idea that food is unhealthy just because it is processed is simply wrong. It is a type of ingredient rather than a number of ingredients that is an accurate predictor of the healthiness of a food. Processed and ultra-processed foods can be part of a healthy, sustainable diet. When looking for healthy options, keep an eye on hidden sugar as well as the amount of fat and salt, especially those added during the processing. And a healthy diet should be based on plenty of vegetables, fruits, and whole grain products. Keep a look at the Eat Well guide. And yeah, now thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Anna-Lena. That was amazing and so interesting to hear more detail about processed and ultra-processed food. And I'm sure people will have questions. I think Anna-Lena might have to run away before the end of our session today, but we'll pass on your questions to her. She's very kindly agreed to have a little look at it when she can and get back to us with any questions you've got. In the meantime, it's time to hand over to our wonderful chef trainer and coordinator for Scotland and Northern Ireland, Polly Higginson. Polly.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Alex, and thanks, Anna-Lena, for your presentation. It was so clear and concise, and yeah, I found it really, really informative having the arguments kind of laid out. So we hope that you all found it useful. You know, obviously at School Plates, we look at school menus all the time, and we're always looking at giving you the best kind of advice on making changes on your menus. And yeah, that what Anna-Lena kind of said at the end about, you know, we use those processed and ultra-processed foods where they're useful. We know that they're convenient. We know that they can really deliver nutritionally, and they're really, really popular on school menus. But our focus still is the rest of the plate on the fresh fruit and vegetables, the whole grains, the pulses. And with the recipes that we develop at School Plate, that's very much our emphasis as well. And so, yeah, I've got three dishes to show you today that kind of demonstrate that ethos, and new recipes that, hope you find useful and kind of inspire your menus. So we're going to kick off with the campfire sausage and bean stew with homemade cornbread, which is delicious. It's making my mouth water just saying it. And the great thing about this dish is really, we're using sausages, veggie sausages in it. So something that we know popular on school menus and quite an easy kind of swap for kind of introducing more plant-based options on school menus. And we're turning it into a delicious stew with fresh vegetables and beans in it, and really, using the sausage to kind of, draw children in and get them excited about the dish, but they're getting to also try lots of other ingredients that are really good for them as well. And then a delicious cornbread to go with it. So I'm going to just start showing you what I've got here. So for the stew, so on the stove here, which I've just started cooking while Anna-Lena was talking. So I've got onions and garlic just sweated down at the start of the stew. Just pop that there. And then I've got a lovely selection of ingredients to go in with it. So chopped up here, a lovely bowl of chopped carrots and peppers, so enough here for a vegetable portion per child. All our recipes are always kind of worked out to serve 10 primary school portions. So just mix that together. The peppers, carrots, really nice and colourful. And with this dish today, I'm going to keep the vegetables and everything quite chunky. You know, sometimes we blend things at different stages, and I'm sure you do as well when you're cooking for children. But this stew is going to be quite chunky and rustic, so they can see the bits of vegetables and things. And choosing peppers and carrots are always very popular. We know children really love those vegetables. So something very familiar. Then into the pot, I'm going to add 2 tins of chopped tomatoes. do.
And you can use the percussion instruments later, can't you?
Yeah. And then I've got my veggie sausages here that I cooked earlier and have chopped up. So done 8 sausages between for 10 portions. So again, just making that ingredient stretch a little further because they're expensive. And mixing that through, then I've got a lovely selection of beans here. So haricot, cannellini, kidney bean. I've gone for a mixture of them, and again a 50-gram kind of portion per child, so they're getting really, really good protein there, and the chance to try maybe different beans that they might not be as familiar with. So that goes in, and then seasoning wise, they're going to have a lovely kind of quite subtle but sweet and smoky kind of taste. So I've got some mixed herbs and smoked paprika. In it goes. And then a splash of vinegar and some date syrup, or you could use molasses just to kind of give that slightly kind of sweet taste going in. And then I'm just going to cover it all with some vegetable stock. Now I'm doing this dish on the stove top, just for this demonstration, but I would probably, if I was doing it in kitchen on scale, do this in big gas stoves at this stage, then lids on or foil them over, and then they'll go into the oven for, well, anywhere from like half an hour to an hour, and just allow it to kind of cook slowly, and the stew will thicken and the vegetables will cook. But I'm just going to pop this on the stove top just now, and it won't get as long cooking time, but just so that you can see it at the end. So that goes on there. So really easy one pot dish. Yeah, that's really, really colourful and so many different kind of plants and spices and things in it. And then that is going to be served with delicious homemade cornbread. Let me grab my ingredients for that. Which again, it's just a really, again, another tasty thing that children, you know, might not have tried before, that can go on the side of that dish, or, you know, this bread can go with salads or soups. And again, just really nice and really economical to make your own quickly. So again, and great with the colour of the polenta or corn flour, that this is mainly the main ingredient. And then I've got wholemeal bread flour, baking powder, and a little bit of salt. And then some fresh, well, I say fresh, it's actually tinned or frozen. You could use fresh as well, sweet corn. So they're going to have this lovely texture in it. And again, another kind of vegetable in the dish. And then I've got here, so again, obviously this recipe is all plant-based. So traditionally cornbread, you know, would maybe have eggs and milk in it as the kind of binding ingredient, kind of, it's buttermilk, I think. But here today I'm using chia seeds as an egg substitute. Now I haven't demoed chia seeds before, so I'm not sure how familiar you are with them, but I'm just going to show you the dried, quite close, the dried little dark seed. And they are kind of nutrition powerhouses, bringing so much to the dish. And they often are used, this one has been mixed with water for kind of 10 minutes, and it gets this kind of gluey, and people often say like frog spawny texture. Doesn't sound very nice when I say it like that, but when it's mixed through, and actually the texture is really, it's just these little pops of seed in, and that kind of works as the binding ingredient. So that goes in, and then I've got plant milk, a little bit of oil and vinegar again, which is going to cause the reaction to cause the bread to rise. So in that goes, and I just give it a really good mix. So obviously want to distribute the chia seeds and the corn. And that smells really nice. Really, really kind of quick.
Hearty.
And hearty, yeah, to go along with the stew. And then I've got a baking tray here. And then that would go into the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes. Great, so I will just leave. So we'll come back to the campfire stew. Well, that's now on the stove just cooking. And the cornbread can go into the oven. And I will plate those, we'll come back to them in kind of 20 minutes and they should be ready to go. So yeah, that's the first dish. I think we're going to have a poll question while I get ready on the next one.
Yes, we've got a poll, the second poll, and here it is. Do you want to reduce the amount of ultra-processed options on school menus? We just wait for people to answer. Let's see. Oh, yes. There we go. The answer is everyone does. Everyone wants to reduce the amount of ultra-processed options on school menus. I'm interested, is it because you've decided yourself, or have you heard from schools or communities or parents, or is it just something you've picked up that you feel motivated to do? Maybe just drop us some comments. Lovely. Yes, so everyone is, Polly, 100%. Everyone wants to reduce it.
Yeah, great. I mean, yeah, and I think from our conversations with you, the caterers, yeah, we definitely know that that's something that kind of everybody mentions, and yeah, we really want to support you with as well. And getting more of that balance on the menus that you're happier with, so that you've got more, yeah, dishes that are kind of cooked from scratch, and yeah, you're less dependent on those yeah, ultra processed.
We've got one comment that's from Emily. I missed the poll but meant to click other because it depends on the type and nutritional content of the ultra processed food, which is a very good point. And Catherine, who says the perception that it is bad means that to be seen to be reducing ultra processed food is important. Yeah, so it's about perception as well, from Catherine.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
We're still on the poll screen, or can you see me now?
Oh, well, sorry, we finished the poll and 100% of people wanted to reduce.
Sorry, I've just still got the poll screen in front of me. I couldn't see that if I was back on screen or not, but am I back on screen?
You're back. We're ready for you.
Okay, great. My phone
Raring
is
to
really
go.
slow. I'm still on the second poll screen, but really, okay. So the next recipe is tofu dippers. So we champion tofu a lot. It's in a lot of our new recipes, and we had the tofu workshop. So we're making today, yeah, these crunchy dippers that my children absolutely love. I absolutely love. I think they'll be really, really popular. And we're serving them with a homemade kind of barbecue ketchup sauce, which again, you know, just having a dipping sauce, you know, that doesn't just have to be, you know, the tomato ketchup route, that, you know, you can make something really, really easily. And again, it's just got a lot less sugar and salt and more kind of fresh ingredients in it. So I'm going to start with the ketchup. So again, over here, sorry, I just still not got my ketchup. I don't know if I still can't see the
We can
the
see, and the pan pot, yes.
You can see the pot. Okay, I'll just show it up to the screen. So onions cooked down. Again, it's an all-in-one pot kind of affair. So here I've got half a can of chopped tomatoes, tomato puree, and date syrup. Again, you can use agave syrup, just something to sweeten it. My apple, which I'm just going to quickly chop up to go in. So, but again, you know, you could use pear or kind of any fruit really. It could be something a bit different and a bit more adventurous as well. You know, rhubarb just springs to mind, but you know, just something fun to put in there, something seasonal, just something different. But yeah, we're just going with the classic kind of apple. Let's chop that. Okay, pop that in. But yeah, kind of really that a bit like the sausage stew, you know, playing around with the kind of sweet and sour tanginess. They've kind of got a slight similarity to them. And then I'm going to put in fresh ginger, paprika, and cinnamon, which again are just, you know, really lovely warming spices. And then here I've got apple cider vinegar and some soy sauce, reduced salt soy sauce, which is going to kind of bring in the seasoning part. And yeah, so it's just really simple, put all those in together, and I'm just going to cook that up and then blitz it into a lovely smooth ketchup. And then that will be able to go on the plate with the dippers, the dipping part of the dippers.
And we're sneaking in quite a few vegetables, aren't we, already?
Yeah. And it's just really, yeah, really easy to just quickly throw that together and just taste that really good. I couldn't stop eating these. They are so yummy. I'm going to move on to the tofu dipper part. So okay. I've got a block of firm tofu, and this is, I think, my 340-gram block. So this would be, we've kind of calculated 60 grams for a portion. So this would be roughly 5 portions, 5 children's portions. And I'm just pressing it to get the liquid out and kind of it's as dry as possible to work with. And then you've got loads of options how you might prepare, cut, slice your tofu. I've seen people do kind of nuggets where they rip it into kind of chunks, or we're going to go with fingers just because, yeah, it's quite nice and easy to portion. So that's into 5. And then I was just cutting them in kind of batons with lengthways. And I did initially just cut each slice into 2, but I think it's nice having quite a lot of the crunchy coating because that is really yummy. So you'll actually get kind of 3 little fingers. And then here I've got my got some plant milk, and I've got this is the coating. So I've got corn flour, nutritional yeast, garlic powder, the paprika, and a little bit of salt. So great to kind of use the nutritional yeast, bringing kind of that extra fortification and flavor as well. And just kind of mix that together. And then the corn flour is amazing at drying out the tofu, creating that crispy outer layer. So I'm just going to show you really quickly and show you how quick this is. But obviously you make hundreds, so it can't be doing individual portions can take, you know, you don't want it to take too long, but I do believe this is really quick, especially if there are a couple of people doing it, and you can quickly turn out hundreds of these. So I'm just coating them quickly. We could actually, while I'm doing this, Alex, we could go to another poll question.
Shall we? Shall we
And
do?
we'll see when I come back if we're finished.
Yeah, you just, and this is where it cuts to, and now suddenly Polly's done it all when we were editing. Yes, everybody, we have another poll for you, and it's about when you're choosing dishes for the school menu, what would be your most important factors to consider when choosing dishes on the school menus? It'll come up in a second for you. Here we go. It's coming up just next. There we go. So what are the most important factors to consider when choosing dishes on the school menu? Is it popularity? Is it health and the nutritional quality of the dish, or that the dish is cooked from scratch, or the sourcing of the dish, or that it didn't contain any ultra-processed ingredients? Or something else? If it's something else, just comment for us. Ah, yes, we have nearly all our answers. So we've got, yes, the health and nutritional quality of the dish is top rated. Everyone found that extremely important. And the second most important factor was the popularity of the dish. And finally, that the dish is cooked from scratch. So first of all, health, and then people wanted the dish to be popular, and then if it's cooked from scratch, that's a good reason to choose that dish. What do you think about cost as well? I mean, maybe drop us some comments in the chat section. Do you find that is on a level with popularity, or is it something you put sort of second? Or are you sometimes surprised that the healthier recipes end up being a bit more cost efficient? Or have you got any comments to add about when you're thinking about popularity of a dish, does that stop you perhaps exploring or experimenting with new dishes that you're developing? Is it the safe bet sometimes? What do you think? I knew this would happen. Polly's quietly just done it when we weren't looking. She's just done it. Yes, absolutely. Whose perspectives are being polled? So if you're managing a kitchen, Maynard says, and you work with what you have or what you're able to procure, then and budget matters. What about waste management, food not thrown away? Yeah, that's really important, isn't it? So you don't want to come up with the most incredible new recipes and have none of the kids eating it. So it's important they enjoy it. And like these tofu dippers, they've got thumbs up from Polly's kids as well. So
great. Sorry, I'm just going to quickly come back to the dippers. So they're all crumbed. I've just brushed them lightly with oil on one side. Or what would actually be good is you could get the oil spray. I would probably just, and you don't have to do that, but it just helps with the crispness. So that's them all ready to go into the oven. And then you just kind of bake them at 180, 190 for, again, about 20 minutes, turning them halfway. I have actually got some in here that I made earlier that I will just bring up to show you. And actually, I think with the paprika in, it's given them a really nice colour. So they're really kind of bright, and they've got a really great, I'm going to bring it.
Yeah, we can see it. Look at that. Golden.
Really lovely. I'll cut it in size. You can see inside. Again,
they are.
And just really nice to dip. And I'm going to just show you quickly. I'm going to plate them up. And I'd just like to say that I hadn't mentioned that with this workshop's recipes, I've been supported by a wonderful volunteer called Debbie, who's a nutritionist, who's been helping me with the recipe development for this workshop. So this was one of her ideas as well, the complete kind of dish with the sauce and things. So I just wanted to kind of say a huge thank you to her for these ideas. Because obviously we've done so many different recipes now, it's great to get some new inspiration. I'm going to just blitz this ketchup, so just give me a second of blitzing.
Go ahead. So they do look great, don't they? I think we need one of those microphones to put it near the crunch, so when Polly's chopping it in half, you can just hear that crunch, but you could almost see the crunch on the tofu dippers, couldn't you? So I think that we've actually got perhaps, is it about 10 vegetables in so far?
Okay. I would have probably given that a slightly longer, just a couple of seconds longer blitz, but just because of time, I didn't want to spend too long in it. But there's our lovely dipping sauce to go on the side. And then coming with some nice potato wedges. Yeah, which again could be dipped. And we've got a recipe in our first school plates recipes, just a simple coleslaw. I've used kind of purple cabbage, so it's really colourful. There we go.
Polly, you don't mind that we're all heading over to you next?
Everyone is so welcome. Just outside Edinburgh, if anyone is close by, you're very welcome to come. So they're dippers, dipping sauce, homemade barbecue ketchup, coleslaw and sweet potato wedges. So a really lovely balanced plate there.
Debbie says they look brilliant, Polly.
Oh, good, great. Yeah, no, they are an absolute winner. I'm going to, let's just see, I'm going to keep this stew on for another minute, and I'm going to move on to the dessert. Shall we go, have we got another poll question now?
Well, not one for now. That
we
was
keep that one till the end.
One at the end, yes.
Great. Where's my, I've got all my dessert stuff here. Okay, so
we do have one. Sorry, everyone.
Do we?
We do have one. Yeah,
okay.
One for you. A fourth poll. Oh no, this is yes, it is. As a result of this workshop, this is kind of back to front for today. We're doing it a little bit jumbled up. But do you feel a little bit gradually a bit more confident in making decisions about using ultra processed items on school menus? If you feel a bit more confident, let us know. And if you've still got questions, don't forget that's fine too, because we're here to support you with really everything that you need on this journey. Navigating that path between what kids love and providing it for them in the healthiest possible way. Oh, look, we've got everybody, 100%. Everyone is feeling more confident making decisions about using ultra processed items.
That's really amazing. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so dessert, we're going to do a creamy lemon pot. Now I've actually prepared this already, just because I knew we'd be quite tight on time today. So I demoed a couple of workshops ago, and it's going to be on our new recipes, chocolate pot that's similar. So it's made with silken tofu. Very, very simple. It's simply the silken tofu sweetened with a little bit of agave syrup or maple syrup. And then here I've added lemon juice and zest and then whisked it all up. And you get this delicious, really creamy pudding, which can be, set in individual pots or just spooned into a bowl. And I'm going to serve that with a couple of raspberries, fresh berries, or any, chopped fruit. I thought raspberries would be nice. And then I'm going to make these chickpea flour shortbreads to go with it. It's a really simple recipe. So in this bowl, I've got ground flour, the chickpea flour, which we use in quite a few of our school plates recipes. I love it because it yeah, it's quite rich in protein. It's gluten-free, and we use it like in our bechamel sauce recipe. Great in like a crumble topping, and really works well in this shortbread where it's 100% ground flour. We've got some sugar and then plant-based kind of spread and some cinnamon. And so this is just, again, you know, being able to make a little biscuit to go on the side of the posset. I'm just getting my hands straight in there, just like you would, you know, make a biscuit, kind of rubbing the fat into the flour and the sugar and the cinnamon. And then there's a little bit of plant milk, a little bit of plant milk there. And you just keep working it until you get a dough. See how quickly I can do this. But it's starting to come together.
And it doesn't matter whether it's refrigerated or not, the butter alternative, the spread, plant-based spread.
Yeah, well, it's always pretty like soft and spreadable coming from even from the fridge. My one had been sat out this afternoon, so it was extra soft. But I'm just going to show you, because we're short. I'm just going to see there, and I just start to squeeze it and bring it together. So biscuit dough, just squidging it, and you see it starts to go from being kind of dustier to kind of more of a caramelly brown colour. And then what you do is just roll it into kind of a, what am I trying to say, into kind of like a tube shape. And then cling film it and pop it into the fridge for an hour, 1 to 2 hours. Might just need a little bit more squeezing. But anyway, that's the kind of the biscuit dough, and I've actually cleaned my hands off. Got just here from earlier again. So this is when I had a little bit more time and did it really neatly. My kind of cylinder, my shortbread cylinder, and then that was sat in the fridge. So it's just dough ready to go. And I cooked off half this morning to show you. I've got a tray here. So you just simply then, when you want to cook the shortbreads, just slice them into rings. Pop them out on the tray. And then again, just into kind of an oven at 180 for kind of 10, 15 minutes. And then they'll just spread. I'll show you the ones that I made earlier. So these will just go into the oven. And then, ta-da! These are the ones that I made earlier. So they spread out a little bit, and they just got a really nice kind of crunch to them. And so we'll just simply pop one of these just to go alongside this lemon pot, just to have as an extra kind of biscuit to dip in, but it would go really nicely with any of our kind of, we've got quite a few kind of yogurt and fruit desserts. So again, it's just a really nice way to make a little biscuit from scratch, really, really economical, and yeah, really good for you as well with the extra chickpea flour. So that's our lemon pot, ground flour shortbread. Now I'm just going to come back quickly to our stew. That's the final thing to show. Okay, so
this is the exciting bit. Everyone waits for this, and we all start feeling really hungry about now.
Just been cooking away. Oops, very heavy pot. I'm not actually going to lift that really heavy pot. Actually, let me bring it up so
Oh,
see
no.
it now.
Oh, smells
Lovely
good.
kind of rich, colourful stew.
So colourful and variety in
And
there.
then really nice with the mixture of the beans and the sausage. And this would be really nice as you know, a baked potato filling as well. I think it would go really nicely with a nice baked potato. I've got my cornbread, again, one that I made earlier to show you. So here that is.
Oh, that does look lovely, doesn't it?
Yeah, really, really nice. And again, you get quite a lot from this recipe as well. I'm going to just cut a slide. Click on the side. And there you go, you can see with the lovely bits of sweet corn and the chia seeds just through it, but actually their textures really just blends in with the bread. So there we go, that's on the side. So that's our 3 dishes.
We've got 3 minutes, Polly.
Yeah.
We're going to make it. And we'll
Great.
get that poll question in.
Sausage campfire stew and cornbread, our tofu dippers, and with homemade ketchup and our lemon pots with the chickpea shortbread. There we go. I hope that gives you some new recipe inspiration and you've seen some new ingredients and techniques in there. Last poll question.
Last poll questions. Okay, how fast can we read? Which of today's dishes are you most likely to try? Is it this sausage and bean stew with homemade cornbread or the crunchy tofu dippers with homemade ketchup, or the, oh, everyone wants everything so far, or the creamy lemon pot with shortbread and berries? So top at the moment is the sausage and bean stew. Everyone wants to try that. And it's split evenly between everything else. So it looks as if this has been a tasty experience all round. Thank you, Polly, so much. And thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, everyone.
Do come along on the 22nd of May to our next workshop when the topic will be taste development in children. We're looking forward to seeing you there. And again, if you have any questions for Anna-Lena, just send them through to one of us and we'll pass them on to her, make sure we can get back to you with any other questions you've got. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.